Welcome back to the Wirex podcast, where we explore the future of finance in real life. Today, we're asking a big what if. Could you actually survive using only crypto for a week? And more importantly, what would that world look like if it were truly possible? Joining us is Thiago Rüdiger, CEO of Tanssi Foundation, to unpack what's holding us back, what's already possible, and how close we really are to a fully crypto-powered lifestyle. Welcome, Thiago.
Hey, Lianna, thank you so much. Thanks for the invitation. Thanks for the intro. Super happy to be here.
Yeah, and I usually like to start us off with your professional background, right? Like, what's your journey? How do you get to where you are today?
Sure. So yeah, I start off with I usually start off this introduction with my like academic background. So I study computer science. I'm Brazilian. I'm based in Brazil, and I studied in the Federal University here. And yeah, I started to work as a software engineer. Eventually, I got bored of a lot of like infrastructure management and a lot of like back in I'm not that young. So back in my days, usually you had a lot of infrastructure management when you wanted to deploy whatever web app that you were building, and this type of thing. So it was not super easy. We didn't have a lot of cloud services back in the days. So yeah, that took me a little bit away from the software engineering side of things, and I started to work with consulting and did that for 5 years in a company that's kind of a McKinsey equivalent here in Brazil. And then, yeah, I became more and more specialized in finance. I did hedge fund for 9 years. And yeah, I was leading investor relationships and operations in the fund. And then eventually I discovered crypto, right? And I told a little bit more details about my background because I think my career went back to where it started in a sense, right? So we are all building software these days, a very special type of software, which is this blockchain world. And yeah, so one of the things that also hooked me with the initial idea that I heard about Tanssi is exactly the fact that Tanssi is solving a problem that initially took me away from my career, right? So what we do in Tanssi is pretty much like abstracting away the infrastructure management for builders who want to deploy their own blockchains, right? And yeah, that's kind of it kind of converges, right? So crypto is the convergence between what I studied, right? Computer science and finance. So that's why I got super excited back in 2017 when I heard about Bitcoin the first time. And then like Tanssi, right? So Tanssi solves like something that was once upon a time a very big problem to me, and that made me change my career. So yeah, this is a little bit about my background and motivations to be here. And yeah, happy to talk a little bit more as the shows continue.
Yeah, thanks for that. And it's you've come one full circle. And I love the fact that you also said like back in the day. Um because back in the day, right? Like the people in the future will actually say like back in the day we used to use fiat. you know. Um
Yeah.
so in so in Terry, right? Like, if someone decided to live on only crypto for a week, how prepared would the world be for that?
Yeah, I think that's when you guys share this broader theme, I found it super fascinating and it made me think a lot, to be honest, because although we it sounds kind of far, right? But at the end of the day, I started to realize, and I use only crypto many times for more than 1 week even. This is already possible, to be honest. Like when I travel, right? So I do my business trips here in Tansy. Usually what I do, so we top up this car crypto cards. And by the way, you guys now at Wirex, you are offering an institutional card, which is great. So we are also getting a Wirex card now. But yeah, there are some solutions, right? So there are crypto card solutions that make it possible for you to live a normal life when it comes to go to the groceries or I don't know, go to the cinema, restaurants. So it's already possible to just top up your card with crypto and just use it. And I do that all the time when I travel, when I make business trips. And yeah, that's already possible. That said, we are still we still need Visa, right? We still need MasterCard. So we still need the legacy system, which I would say like that's kind of the next step, right? So how can we remove even more the intermediaries of this kind of workflow, and making the market even more efficient, right? So yeah, I'll say like a payment supply chain is very complex and very costly, and costs a lot of money. And yeah, I mean, the more we can eliminate intermediaries, the better, right? That's one of the crypto ethos.
Yeah, I mean, I love what you said, right? Like, that you're already using crypto and it is possible. But I also think about a lot of people who may not um, necessarily know where to use their crypto for
Yeah.
like groceries and stuff like that, right? And,
Yeah, that's
go for it.
yeah, that's also accurate, right? So I think I mean, I came from finance, right? So I have maybe a more advanced user profile, so to say. But I think there are, especially for the day to day, right? So for buying an apartment with crypto, that's another thing that's not easy, right? To move like substantial amounts of money. I mean, you have to be knowledgeable about how to manage gas, how to set up your wallet, all these things, how to sign a transaction. So these things, I mean, there is always room for improving. But yeah, I'm a big fan of Wirex for a long time, and one of the reasons why I'm a fan of you guys is the fact that you just simplify a lot the use of crypto, and you abstract away just using the easiest and most convenient distribution channel possible, which is crypto, which is the cards, right? So crypto enabled credit cards. Also, like there are other. I just like to highlight a very interesting crypto payment use case that we saw evolving recently here in South America. So there's a company called AgroToken, and these guys are doing another phenomenal job, right? So not a lot of people know, but like 35% of the Brazilian GDP is agribusiness, right? And that's a lot. And the we have something that's very analogous to the U.S. green belt, right? Here in Brazil, the Brazilian green belt, so to say. And these regions, it's a very very rich region, by the way, but it's really in the middle of Brazil, like in the countryside of Brazil. And these people, they are used to just make payments using soybeans, using whatever they produce, right? So still these days, so let's say if these guys wanted to buy a tractor, for instance, they agreed with the tractor supplier and or whatever machinery, and they deliver certain amount of soybean sacks in the day that they agreed for pay for that machinery, right? So one very interesting thing that this team AgroToken did is that they tokenized these soybeans, and by doing so, they were able to just allow for this business, these farmers, right? So to make the payments using the tokenized uh, version of the grains. And they did it in a very, very smart way because they also use cards. So they use these tokens as collateral for the cards. And, everything, like everything the farmer needs to know is how to use a credit card. So that's another super interesting use case where you solve an actual real world problem. And you're doing like a way seamless payment than just putting a bunch of sacks of grains in in the back of your truck and just moving it around, right? So yeah, I think there are many interesting ideas being developed in many types of many corners of the world. And yeah, I think we are making this very interesting experiment, right, where we are trying to put crypto closer to people and to day-to-day problems and solve those problems.
Yeah, and you prompted me to think about like, some places that I've been to, they don't really accept cash anymore, right? They only accept cards.
Exactly.
So, when you said that we're actually not far off in, people using crypto only, for their payments and stuff. I think that's really true, and I love the use case of the tokenized soybeans, because I think back in the day, people people used to use people used to pay with salt, right?
Yeah.
And with minerals. So, I think we live in very interesting times where, we're rethinking the value of money. We're rethinking, payment systems. So are there any regions or cities where this is actually doable, right? Like, where a city has really embraced crypto?
Yeah, I mean, I think that's a good question. I think like depends on what you define as really embracing crypto. So when it comes to just using cards that have tokens as collateral, I mean that we are talking about Visa and MasterCard level of distribution. So that's a no-brainer. Anywhere in the world, you can just make payments using those POS machines, and super easy. When it comes to like a more like specialized solution like this one that I just said, it really depends, right? So I think I'm very privileged to live in Brazil, and the Brazilian central bank has been very forward thinker, I would say, in the last years. Even like our former Brazilian central bank governor, he received for several years in a row a prize as being like the most like the best central bank governor in the world. And one of the reasons is why is because he embraced technology like a lot. So Brazil is a very particular place for many reasons. So for instance, you just mentioned, right, so there are some places there don't even accept cash anymore. In Brazil we have some places like this because of safety reasons, right? So no one wants to carry cash because it's just not safe. So that's one thing. But also, like when it comes to other types of innovations, and even if you take Pix, for instance, Pix is a 24/7 payments mechanism that was rolled out by the Brazilian Central Bank in the eye of the COVID crisis. And this is the Brazilian version of the Fed now, right? So it's an instant payment solution that's free for the user. Uh, of course, like the payment institutions, like the financial institutions, there are offering products based on Pix. They have an infrastructure cost, but like that's free for the final user, which is interesting. And the reason why I'm mentioning Pix is that Pix inherits a lot of the crypto concepts, right? So uh, you have like a private key, you have a public key, you have a wallet. It just happens that this wallet is embedded into your banking app. And also like you don't own your private keys, right? So the bank owns it. But everything that all the transactions that are made, all the money movements, they are made based on cryptographic transactions that are very similar to the blockchain payment transactions that we do every day. So it's a first step, I would say. So it's a very similar system. The only thing is that, like, we know very well as crypto teachers that not your keys, not your coins. In this case, the keys are held by the banks. But also, like, is everybody ready to own their own keys? I would say not necessarily, right? So I don't think this is a bad thing. I just think this is a natural part of the evolution. And I would say here in Brazil we have a very special situation where also on the regulatory side, like we don't see a lot of pushback around crypto in general. So on the opposite, actually, we are a banking system that's heavily concentrated. Like we have like five, maybe six big banks operating in Brazil, so it's heavily concentrated. And all of the movements that the Brazilian central bank also did in the past years is to stimulate competition through fintechs, right? And many of these fintechs, they are just using crypto and blockchains and stable coins as a tool for solving real world problems, right? So I think that's a fascinating place to be in. I have my bias be Brazilian, but this is actually like, these are interesting things that we are seeing like every day popping here, and very cool use case. They're just solving real life problems, right?
Yeah, and I think, it's a matter of having the gumption to take the risk to explore, right? And experiment to solve these real world issues and for real world purchases. What is the biggest blocker you think for using crypto in real world purchases at the moment?
Yeah, so I think like again, if you're talking about like day-to-day stuff, there's no major blocker. I'd say like of course there's not too many people holding crypto, right? So I think awareness in this case could be one. Like so I think that the more popular stable coins become, I think it's a natural consequence that also crypto cards and other crypto payment rails will become more popular. So it's a matter of adoption. But when it comes to actual like crypto payments, like moving, just like I make a Pix to, I don't know, to whoever, to a friend, to share a bill of a restaurant bill. So just like I do that, sending crypto, that's just another scale, right? So I think adoption is, as always, I think UX could be a problem as well in that sense. I think like if you have a very smooth like, experience and you just move your money, that's that's amazing, right? Everybody likes to just those who are above the years old like probably remember like how it was like painful to move cash like I don't know 10 years ago. Now it's in general, right? The banking systems
Mhm.
are becoming better, but I would say like crypto is just better, right? It's just 24/7. Another reason, right? So being based in Brazil, so Brazil is a has a restricted currency and it's a very closed market in general, although it's a giant economy. But like we are not allowed to hold dollars in our checking accounts or our investment accounts in Brazil. What happens is that like more sophisticated investors that want to have dollars, that want to hold dollars, euros, whatever show currency, they usually use their private banks or their banks to just open an offshore account from this very same bank. So these banks, they have offshore brands, and you open an offshore account in this offshore branch that's kind of relates to the bank you have an account with, but it's a different bank, right? So you're not allowed to hold crypto. And the restricted currency side is also tough because we're talking about offshore operations, like cross border transactions. So if I'm traveling to Peru, I always use this example, right? I'm not allowed to exchange Brazilian reais to soles peruanos. I always had to buy dollars before and then convert into the local currency in Peru, which is insane, right? So we are neighbors. We are part of this same Mercosur bloc, right? So it should be easy, but no, it's not. And the actual consequence of that is that I will be paying, including taxes, spread twice, right? Because you need to convert it to dollars and then to the local currency. I will be paying like around 10%, right? To just go to a neighbor country and have my vacations there. So these type of things, crypto solve like pretty well, right? And even we observe a recent change here in Brazil, and that's something that's classic in Latam in general. The government from day to night, they just 10x the taxes that are charged for topping up your either making a payment using your credit card offshore or topping up your like offshore account. 10x, right, from day to night without even any kind of discussion with the market, with anything. And these raised a lot of awareness for crypto cards because if you buy crypto with your crypto card, you'd be paying like a fraction of this amount. And of course, like you can just top up in dollars and even pay like in other countries as well with dollars, like Chile, for instance, it's possible to make payments in Chile using dollars. So I think like for these type of things happen all the time in Latam, right? Governments are very powerful and they just change stuff from day to night here. And that's a classic use case that could be solved as well with crypto, right? So yeah, it's a lot to unpack. I love this subject.
Yeah, I no, definitely, it's a lot to unpack, and I love the use cases and examples that you've given us, and I think there is, we still need to figure quite a few things out. Let's just put it that way, right?
Yeah,
um,
that's true.
and you mentioned stablecoins. So, do you think stablecoins solve more problems than they create in this context?
Yeah, I think so. Like I think like if one thing uh you know did well and got a lot of awareness in crypto, this is stable coins, right? We are seeing like the stable coins growing a lot. We are seeing like even more, right, with the time passing. Circle is doing great, Tether is doing great, and we have also other experiments when it comes to, for instance, multi-issuer stable coins, which is the case, a super interesting case that is being developed, for instance, for by M0, right? A thing that I really admire, and they are doing a tremendous job. So they're create this framework where you can just mint your own stablecoin, and this stablecoin is just fungible with other stablecoins that live in other chains. So that's super interesting idea, and it's possible because you have multi issuers, right? So the same way that Tether is only issued by sorry, USDT is only issued by Tether and USDC is only issued by Circle. Imagine a world where you could have, one single stablecoin being issued by each entity, right? So let's say if there are like 10 fintechs, that are working some type of collaboration, one in Brazil, another in whatever country, UK, Europe, Hong Kong. So we will have 10 different teams developing whatever fintech credit project. These guys, they could just mint this very same stablecoin. They would be the issuers of the very same stablecoin, and this stablecoin would be fungible among each other. So this is possible using M0 framework. So that's another super cool experiment. And yeah, I think like definitely there is a cost and some operational overhead to deal with, but I think there are solutions that just make it easier for you. For instance, again, M0, right? So they abstract away a bunch of stuff in the workflow, and yeah, I think also regulatory wise, at least in the regions that I follow mostly, like there is a lot of discussions and a lot of progress being made, especially in the stablecoin regulation. So I think yeah, that's definitely one of the killer apps or killer use cases of crypto till now.
Yeah, and I keep thinking about with these experiments that we won't know how it really impacts everybody until we've tried it, right? So
Yeah, yeah.
you know, um, so let's say you had to live on crypto for a week. What would your plan be? How would you go about it?
Yeah, I think the very first thing is you have to have a crypto payment app and a crypto card. That's the only way, right? Because yeah, there are some experiments being made. First, there's a company here in Brazil called Trasfero. They have a partnership with the biggest, one of the biggest supermarkets here in Rio, where I live. So I could just go there and pay using their app, and I pay using stable coins. So that's possible, but that's ultra niche, right? That's not the reality everywhere. So I mean, you can make some research about those type of solutions. They will always be very geography driven because there are many yeah, and licenses involved. So, and you guys know about it way better than I do. But yeah, it's never easy, right? So, and if you're traveling a lot, like many of us crypto degens do, yeah, you need something that's more, more kind of a global solution. So definitely say like getting a card, topping up with some crypto, and just yeah, that's definitely like the step one.
Yeah, and also, I think about people. I mean, how often do people really go to grocery stores? these days. Of course, I'm speaking to you know people living in the urban areas, right? Most of the time, I see people ordering online. And as more things go online, I think it will make things a lot easier. In
That's true.
using crypto, for example, because yeah, you don't need to use cash, right? It's difficult.
Yes.
You know.
No, I agree with that. Yeah.
And what do you think needs to change in the next 2 to 3 years to make crypto lifestyle actually work?
Yeah, to be very honest, I think we are seeing a lot of cool stuff being developed. Yeah, we never mentioned Solana, but there are some cool payment solutions also. I'm a big fan of a team called Decaf. They have their own wallet and they are doing some very cool stuff regarding payments as well and abstracting like providing a better UX for payments. So I think like you know we're doing well our part as crypto entrepreneurs and crypto people, but that's just too niche, as I was saying, right? So I think what's missing is more openness from traditional fintechs and traditional banks, even to just explore new ideas. For instance, there's this project being developed by JP Morgan. It's called Onyx. Now they changed the name. I forgot the new name of this project, but that's a project that's going on for, I don't know, I'd say almost 8 years at this point. So these guys are developing a bunch of cool solutions when it comes to investments, payments, etc. So we need, these products to be rolled out, right? So we need people to be more open to try, like rolling out products that are being developed. I just mentioned January because it's a, giant, probably the biggest bank in the world is at this point. So that's one thing, but also like in general speaking, like fintechs and other banks, and you know, just try it out. Like it's easier to make FX via stablecoins. It's cheaper in many cases, so try it out, right? Of course, we saw a very complicated landscape regulatory wise in the last years, especially after FTX, right? But I think like the winds of change are here, and we are seeing yeah, more appetite, or at least more openness from bigger banks to try it out, and also like entrepreneurs in general, right? Just trying crypto as a potential tool, just like they use cloud, just like they use AI, just like they use, I don't know, databases. Going speaking about something even more fundamental, try it out blockchains, right? Try it out, creating Web3 based products and engage with your community using Web3 Rails. So I think that's what's kind of missing. And I think we are about to see this changing, given the more favorable regulatory landscape, especially in the US. And we know that this dictates a lot of the behavior in the tech industry in general. So yeah, I'm confident and I'm bullish and keen to see this evolving in the next years.
Yeah, it's really exciting, and I'm also really excited too to see where it goes. And to your point, I think maybe also businesses and companies maybe paying their employees. They could try out like half in fiat, right, and half in crypto. Because that would put everyone's foot in the door. So do you think is crypto ready for the real world, or is the real world not ready for crypto?
Yeah, that's a cool question. I don't know. I think there's no switch button, right? So I don't think things will just happen from day to night. It shouldn't be like this. So I guess the answer is gonna come with time, right? But I think there's a lot. Yeah, I think there's a lot of infrastructure being built. I mean, Tanssi, right? So we are infrastructure builders. You guys are infrastructure builders, WireX, right, in the payment side. So I think there's a lot of infrastructure being built, a lot of cool stuff being cooked in the last years. So I would say today we have more infrastructure than users still, but I think this is changing, right? And the more we see these fintechs just using crypto, to offer whatever product, right? So that doesn't need to be labeled as a crypto product or whatever. It's just a cool product. It's just a collectible. It's just a more efficient and cheaper way to make a payment and whatever. Like, it's just a good product, right? So I think the more we see that, I think the easier it's gonna become. And I think we have many types of infrastructure that are out there. That's like we have general purpose layer ones, we have roll-ups, we have app chains as the ones we support in Tanssi. We have a bunch of cool stuff happening in RWA, stablecoins, as we just discussed. So I think there is tooling there. And now we are in this phase where we are, trying to get more adoption, more awareness. And I think that's the next step for sure.
Yeah, so what would your advice be for someone or maybe even a company, wanting to try going fully crypto?
Yeah, first give me a call. Kidding. But yeah, no, I think like don't be afraid, right? So just and then I'm kidding and I'm not kidding because like sometimes we were discussing in the beginning, right? I came from hedge fund industry from TradFi, and one thing that I always do, I still have like this uh personal mission, so to say, to talk about crypto with these companies, right? So at the time I travel or I go to these asset managers, they're starting to make their research about crypto, and it's just so many interesting use cases. Like if you like games, like go explore, Web3 gaming. If you're working in an acquire, right? So go explore crypto payments, right? So there's so much inbuilt and so many interesting uh, products, so many interesting people to meet there, so many interesting entrepreneurs stories. So just try it out, just get educated, and just embrace it because and that's actually a quote from the leader of the Drex. Drex is the Brazilian CBDC, right? The central bank digital currency. So there is a director there in the central bank of Brazil that he says that innovation and technology, it always comes in waves, right? So not in the sense that like they come and go, but like in the sense that like if you don't get, if you are on the beach and you're trying to dive, and if you don't get it ready, the wave is gonna come. It's gonna hit you, and you better dive, or you better prepare, or you get out of the water. I don't know. You make something, but you just don't let it hit you. So I think that's it, right? So my advice is like it is happening, guys. Right? There's this very famous study, which is maybe old at this point, by BCG, Boston Consulting Group. It states that by 2030, in about 5 years, 10% of the global GDP is going to be tokenized. And if you the way this come, right? If you don't get educated about that, if you're at first, I was talking to an asset manager, a private equity fund, actually, not even a VC fund, a private equity company here in Sao Paulo last week. And these guys told me, Thiago, like, let's talk a little bit about crypto because we are seeing more and more cool ideas being built on top of these rails that we don't have any clue about. And, from, you know, within a few years from here, if I'm not educated about that, my addressable market for investments is just going to be reduced because I'm gonna see more and more cool use cases coming to me. And if I'm unsure, if I'm insecure to assess this deal just because I don't know about blockchains or I don't know what a smart contract is, like I'm just, I'm losing my addressable market. And I'm pretty sure that competitor is gonna be looking at these deals. So that's the reality, right? So the world's gonna be tokenized. I'm pretty sure that crypto payments are gonna, keep growing. Stable coins are gonna keep growing, and at least for the financial side of things, that's given, and you better learn and embrace it. You could even like learn and have an opinion that you don't like it, and it just can say, yeah, that's not for me, but that's an informed decision, right? Not everybody is gonna buy equities, right? Some people are more conservative and just gonna buy bonds. Not everybody's gonna invest in crypto either, but at least you should have an informed decision and just say, yeah, that's out of my mandate, that's out of my investment universe, and that's totally fine. But just get involved and just get, educated about it. That would be my advice.
Yeah, I love that you said education, to get educated, because I think a lot of people's perception of crypto is still, of the scams and all the bad press
Yeah.
that we've seen about crypto, right? So education is so key in all of this. And yeah, I love the analogy of the wave, right?
Yeah.
The world is moving along with or without you. Yeah. So thank you so much for that. Is there anything else you'd like to add that we haven't covered, maybe?
Yeah, no, I would just say I'm very bullish about the how things are evolving. And I'm not talking about pricing, bull cycle. I'm talking about the tech, right? So I think we saw a lot of very cool stuff being built in the last years. I think now the regulation's catching up, institutions are coming. So I think the market is changing quite a lot. Even for us, there are, insiders, so to say, in the industry. We are living and breathing keep crypto every day. So I'm very excited for the days to come, the years to come. And yeah, I'm bullish. And yeah, I'm bullish with what you guys are building as well. We recently announced our collab as well, which is super cool. So keen to evolve in this collaboration. I think the WireX State chain is an amazing idea, and happy to collaborate with you guys on the infrastructure side. So I'm also super happy and super keen to see this evolving and new ideas coming out of this collaboration. So yeah, I'm nothing but excited.
Amazing, amazing, amazing. And that's it for this episode. Big thanks to Thiago for helping us map out the realities and the roadblocks of living fully on crypto. If this conversation got you thinking, don't forget to subscribe, drop us a review, and share it with someone who's curious about where crypto is headed next. See you next time.